got what we were gonna. Free money!
Man.
Free money!
I was really hoping you wouldn't do that.
My college football picks against the spread. And let me tell you, Max, still on a heater. Last week, 5-3. Quite solid. 5-3. I'm 13-4 for the year.
But I think the clear point to make here is you have started your trend down. The downward spiral has begun.
All right.
It has begun.
I want to make a proposition with you.
Okay.
I bet I finish above 500.
Well, that would still continue the downward spiral.
I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying I bet I'll finish above 500.
You might, but you're going to be worse than you were last week, and it's just going to keep going down.
I bet I'm. How many games are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So
this is a big week. A lot of games.
So there's 10 games.
Yep.
That means that if I go 6-4, I do as well. Is that right? It's about 6 and 5 out of 8.
We'll see.
Carry the 4.
We'll
I just
see.
got to do better. So I'm 13-4 so far. We got 10 games this week. I'm very excited. We're going to go in chronological order. Max, what's the first game?
Arizona travels to El Paso to take on UTEP. 9:15 p.m. Friday. Why is there a Friday college game? End rant. UTEP, 23-point underdog.
Yeah, they're 23-point underdogs. And here's the thing, is that Arizona appears to be pretty meh. I don't want to take anything away from Houston, who beat them last week at in Tucson.
That's the funny thing about that game. I mean, it's 19-16, but that was like a comfortable win for Houston.
Boy, and I never felt like Houston was going to lose that game.
Arizona really just did not bring much of a threat.
No.
Now, credit to you that Houston has a ridiculous front seven, of course.
And I will also say that I thought that Arizona's defense, we talk so much about how kind of uneven the Houston offense looked like. I think the Arizona defense had something to do with that. I don't want to crap all over them. Here's the problem, though, is that I'm just not sure UTEP can score.
Right.
That's a big issue for me, is that they're only averaging 2.2 yards per carry, which for UTEP is death. They're throwing more, but they're not throwing the ball well. Arizona is going to try to run the ball with J.J. Taylor and Brandon Dawkins, so it's going to be up to UTEP to slow them down. So here's the problem. The problem is, with 23 points, how many points do we think UTEP is scoring realistically? 10?
Maybe
10?
Yeah, I don't.
So then the question is, do you think that they're going to hold Arizona under like 35? And I'm just not sure that's the case. I think UTEP's pretty bad, and I think Arizona is still a Power 5 team, even though they didn't look the part last week. I'm going to take Arizona minus 23 in this one.
Okay.
I think Arizona covers this. I have so little. I feel bad. I just have so little faith in UTEP right now that it's hard for me to get excited until I see some sort of spark offensively.
Right.
And I'm just not sure it's going to be there. So that's where I'm at. And remember, they lost to Rice last week. What was the final score of that Rice game?
31-17.
31-17.
I believe that's right.
So that's a 14-point loss.
Yeah.
And I think Arizona is better than Rice.
Right.
So that doesn't bode well. So I'm going to take Arizona minus 23. What's next, Max?
Louisiana, Lafayette. The Raging Cajuns traveled to College Station, 11 a.m. Saturday. Texas A&M, for some reason, beyond all belief and understanding of what has happened in the first two weekends, is a 24-point favorite.
So here's my point of this. I want to know how many points A&M has scored since the moment Nick Starkel left that game. Is it 28 or like 20? They scored 24 last week. 27? Is that it?
Did they score after Starkel?
So in a game and a half, including a game against Nicholls State. So here's the thing. Louisiana Lafayette is kind of a poor man's Texas Tech right now, in the sense that they can score. They're actually they're fourth in total offense right now.
Yeah.
They can score.
Is there any reason to think that Lafayette is worse than Nicholls State?
No, there's not.
Right?
There's not.
That's the thing I keep coming back
now,
to.
Here's the one thing, is that Louisiana Lafayette's defense is trash. It's
Sure.
really bad.
Right.
They want to run and gun.
Okay.
They've got two great freshman running backs in Trey Regis and Elijah Mitchell. Their quarterback Jordan Davis. I think A&M is going to win, but the bottom line is, can they score enough to cover 24 points? I'm just not sure that's the case.
Yeah.
Because right now, like realistically, let's just say that with the fourth best, I don't think Louisiana Lafayette's actually the fourth best offense in the nation, but let's go with it right now.
Sure.
With a let's say solid offense coming to town.
Right. Early returns are good.
Yes. With a solid offense coming to town, let's say that A&M gives up 24 points, which would be a decent defensive effort from A&M.
Right.
That means they would have to score 49 to cover.
Right.
And I'm just not sure that's reasonable right now.
Right.
So, especially with the injuries they've got right now, I'm going to go with Louisiana Lafayette plus 24 in this one. I think that I just don't see how you can look at a 10-point win at home against Nicholls State and say, "Oh, here's a better team, an FBS team coming in. They're going to beat them by more."
And I feel like
by a lot more.
I feel like the point we have to keep making too is like, obviously everyone in A&M is more talented, but that's part of why it's so frustrating.
Yes.
Like, yes, I like no one on that team.
A&M's a lot better than Louisiana Lafayette. I don't know why I have to say that out loud, but they are. But it's just frustrating because they won't play up to their paper, and I just think that it's not reasonable right now to expect them to cover 24 against a team with a pulse. Yeah. So I'm going to take Louisiana Lafayette plus 24. What's next, Max?
And now a line that makes a heck of a lot more sense and has adjusted for performance. Baylor at Duke, 11:30 a.m. Saturday. Baylor is a 14-point underdog.
First of all, 11:30 a.m. is an odd kick time, right?
Is it not?
11:30? No, it is. It's 11:30. That's right.
Oh.
It is at 11:30. It's an odd kick time.
Well, I mean, bad games get pushed to the morning, right?
So Duke has a big offense. If you don't know this, David Cutcliffe's offense is rolling right now. They're 15th in total offense. They really rung it up on what I think is a decent Northwestern team, right? They really hung it on them.
Yeah, I mean,
the thing that I like about Duke is that they got a sharp quarterback in Daniel Jones, and they commit to the run. They are seventh most. They carry the ball 59 times per game. Now, part of that is that they've been ahead and they've just been trying to kill clock. But they commit to the run with Britton Brown, their running back. The defense is solid, but maybe untested. But I will say that they have been excellent against the run, which is very bad for Baylor, who is now starting Zach Smith at quarterback. So Zach Smith's pretty much going to have to beat them by himself. The defense is going to be without KJ Smith, who's out for another game with shin splints. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's reasonable to expect Baylor to go on the road and beat a team with a pulse right now.
Not especially when we've been sitting around the office this week going, are they going to win a game this year?
That's exactly right. And I just think, look, I'd love to be surprised. I'm begging to be surprised, but I'm going to take Duke minus 14 in this. I think they cover 14. And I just, I think this is the best team they've played that Baylor's played so far, and they've lost to the other two teams.
Yep.
Albeit close, but increasing amount of points they've lost. So, I'm already going 3. That's 3 out-of-state teams I'm taking. I don't feel good about that. So I'm taking Duke minus 14. What's next?
Well, it'll get better.
It will.
You know why? You don't have a choice in this one. The Iron Skillet. SMU traveling to number 20 TCU, 2:30 p.m. Saturday game. We are very excited about. TCU is an 18-point favorite.
So what's interesting, what I love about this matchup is that this feels like strength on strength, right? Mm-hmm. TCU's defense has been great. They've been really good. I've been really impressed with the way they fly to the football. Meanwhile, SMU's offense looks like it's humming.
Right.
This looks like
this is going to be a fun challenge for that secondary.
It will be
TCU.
It will be a fun challenge for them. I think that's very good. The problem for SMU is on the other side, where I think TCU has a pretty distinct advantage when they have the ball. Mm-hmm. SMU's defense is okay. I think it's better than it was last year, but it's still only okay. If you want to take SMU in this game, you are taking them on the basis of rivalry game, weird things happen. And that's fine. I think that's totally reasonable. Yep. But I also don't think that if you're putting your money where your mouth is, I don't think you can just say, oh, it's a rivalry game, there's weird things happening. I think that all of the signs point to a pretty comfortable TCU win. Mm-hmm. Let's remember they beat Arkansas by 21 on the road, and I think SMU is about on par with Arkansas right now.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'd put them.
Right.
And so coming home, I think you give them an extra 3 points. I think they cover it. I think they win something along the lines of like 44 to 24. That
Right.
sounds about right.
Right.
TCU wins this game comfortably. I think they cover 18.
Yeah, I think the challenge is make plays in the secondary, right? Challenge Sutton and try to make Hicks make mistakes.
Yeah,
right?
try to pressure him, get some
Right.
pressure on him, make him uncomfortable. I'm going to take TCU minus 18. What's next?
Okay.
Max?
North Texas traveling to Iowa City, 2:30 p.m. Saturday, and they are 21.5-point underdogs, which is a fun line.
I've never been to Iowa City.
Well, you're not missing much, Chief.
Okay,
You're not missing much in Iowa in general.
So North Texas is heading into a game against Iowa. Iowa's got to be feeling good after their win over Iowa State. Iowa throws the ball effectively, and they run the ball okay.
Okay.
Their running back, Akram Wadley's fine. I think their quarterback, Nate Stanley, the sophomores, I think he's decent.
Yeah.
I think he's decent.
Yeah, he did fine.
I think he did fine. I don't think this offense is anything to write home about.
No, but I'm gonna wager, just looking at them last week, that size-wise they've got an advantage on both sides of the ball on North Texas, and I think that's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, I do think that North Texas is going to be able to do some stuff offensively. I think their offense has proven that it's pretty good.
Yeah.
The only question is, are they going to hold Iowa's offense in check enough to keep this thing close? 21.5 is a super interesting line.
Really tempting to take the under, right?
What's that?
Really tempting to take the
point.
North
Take
Texas.
North Texas.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to take North Texas plus
so, too.
21.5.
Like 18.
Yeah,
seems
they're
like.
going to lose. Like I think they're going
Right.
to lose. I think they're going to lose something like 48 to 30.
I hope they win.
I hope they win
But-
too. But I think they lose. But I think they lose something like 47-30 or something like that.
Yeah.
Where kind of similar to how they lost to SMU last week. Although albeit they lost by more than 21.5. Did they? 51-30, 52-30, something like that. Maybe we would have covered 21.5. Anyway,
50.
I think this is a letdown game for Iowa. I think they win, but I don't think they cover. I'm taking North Texas plus 21.5. What's next, Max?
All right. Southern at UTSA. No, there's no C in there. 6 p.m. Saturday. No line.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, UTSA is going to win. I think UTSA is going to kill them.
Right.
So Southern is not good. Southern is 1-1, but that one win came over South Carolina State, which some people think is like the worst team in the country, and they won 14-8. Last week they lost to Southern Miss. Southern Miss, a decidedly, let's say slightly below average FBS team. They lost 45-0. I expect this to be even worse, and I think that the offense gets rolling. The only question is how much you're going to score. Southern will also be without their senior quarterback. Their senior quarterback is Austin Howard. He's a PCL strain, so he's going to be out. So they have no idea who's going to be the quarterback. There was an article in the Times-Picayune. They were like, we don't know who's going to be the quarterback. That's not good for Southern. I think UTSA romps. I think they name their score.
Right.
I think, and remember, first home game, right? Is it their first home game? Yeah, because last week was their first game.
At Waco. Yeah.
That's right. So this is their first home game, coming home to a big crowd. I think everybody will be popping. I think UTSA wins in a romp. What's next?
All right. Appalachian State going to San Marcos. Texas State, 6 p.m. Saturday. Texas State, a 23-point underdog.
Do you want to know how little Vegas thinks of Texas State?
I bet you're about to tell me.
Appalachian State is 103rd in total offense.
That's not good.
They are trash horse offensively, and they're 23-point favorites
That's a
on
lot.
the road.
Yep.
On the road, they cannot throw the ball, or they cannot do anything offensively. And they've got a senior quarterback in Taylor Lamb, who's pretty much their only viable threat. And I think that in a lot of respects, if you look at what Texas State does, their front seven is kind of built to neutralize that. If they can get a pass rush like they did against Colorado, Stephen Montez made plays. I just don't think Appalachian State can make those plays. The problem for Texas State is, can they score? I'm dead serious when I say that I wonder if this game's going to end like 21-0.
Right.
But I'm going to Texas State at home, believe it or not. I'm going against my old gambling adage of don't ask bad to do good.
Okay.
But I'm going to take Texas State plus 23 at home. Maybe they get a spark from being at home. The defense, again, I think the defense can keep this thing close. The problem is, can they score enough? That's just my big question. I'm going to take Texas State plus 23.
All right.
What's next, Max?
Bayou Bucket. Rice at Houston, 7 p.m. Saturday. Houston, a 22.5-point favorite.
So this all comes down to what we were talking about with Joseph Duarte. What do you think Houston's offense is really like? We know what the defense is going to be like. The defense is a flamethrower. The defense is awesome as long as they have Ed Oliver out there.
Yep.
The defense is fantastic. They can run around. They can run. They can make plays. They can turn the ball over.
Will they carve up the Rice defense?
The question is going to
Are
be
they capable of carving up the Rice defense?
Rice looked decent against UTEP last week, but UTEP's offense is awful.
Yep.
Houston's offense is decidedly better.
Right.
I think that Houston's defense is, dare I say, close to what Stanford is.
Right.
Right? I think Stanford's defense is pretty good. I think Houston's defense is pretty good.
Right.
I think it's a top 20 defense. And so my question is, can Rice find a way to score enough points to cover that 22 and a half? I don't think they can. I'm going to take Houston. So. I'm going to take Houston minus 22 and a half. I think coming home will be very good for them. I think they get a spark offensively, and I think another week with Kyle Allen in the mix, kind of getting some stuff out, I think they're able to get that. Again, much like TCU and SMU, if you want to play Rice here, the play is, it's a rivalry game. Crazy things happen. And I just don't think that's a scientific way of going about it.
The best case scenario, like if you really squint, is Rice gets 10 points.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the best case scenario.
I mean, Arizona had 16, right?
Right.
At home.
Right.
This is Rice, albeit there's not exactly a home field advantage because it's down the street from them.
Right. But still,
I think it's Houston. Basically, let's say it's 10. You're saying Rice is going to hold them under 35. I just don't see it. I'm going to take Houston minus 22 and a half.
All right.
What's next, Max?
Arizona State going to the South Plains. Texas Tech hosting them 7 p.m. Saturday. Texas Tech is a 7.5-point favorite.
This is maybe the toughest game to call.
Yeah, right.
7.5 is really interesting. First of all, respect for Tech, but I think that this speaks more about Arizona State. Mm-hmm. So Arizona State is an entirely one-dimensional team. They're entirely one-dimensional. They can do one thing well, and that is throw the ball. They can throw the ball pretty well. Their quarterback, Manny Wilkins, is pretty solid. They got a lot of young weapons out there. Todd Graham is a big jerk, but he's true. He's an offensive guru. They can throw the ball.
With a stupid headset.
They do not run the ball well. They do not stop the run well. They do not make plays in the secondary. They do one thing well, and that is throw the ball. And if you look back to last year, you will say, Tech went on the road to Arizona State, albeit with a better quarterback, all due respect to Nick Shimonek, but with a better quarterback, and they just got in a gunslinging matchup.
And just couldn't tackle anyone to save their life.
And couldn't tackle anybody. The question here is, was Tech's defense against Eastern Washington just
a sign of good?
A sign of good.
Things are coming that are good.
Things are coming around. That is the question. And that is the question that you have to ask yourself here. I am going to take Tech. I'm going to take Tech minus 7.5 because I think the defense has made even the smallest stride, and being at home is going to help with that. Now, I realize I'm signing my own death warrant.
Hope can break a man.
I realize that I'm signing my own death warrant by saying I'm siding with the Tech defense. But I think Tech can beat them. I think they can outgun them, and if they just make a couple of plays, because this Arizona State team is so unbalanced. Mm-hmm. They don't do anything well besides throw the ball.
Right.
If the secondary is only okay,
right.
If the secondary is only slightly below average, Tech wins this game by 14. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with Tech. Also, night game. I like the night game.
Night games in Lubbock are weird.
Yeah.
They like to get weird.
I like to get weird. Tortillas
enough.
and stuff.
Fair
I'm going to
enough.
go with Tech minus 7.5, and I already hate that pick.
Yep.
Already.
Yep.
All right, finally.
And the big one, Texas, playing at the Coliseum against USC, 7:30 p.m. Saturday. Texas, a 16.5-point underdog.
So I don't know if you saw what Brett McMurphy, formerly of ESPN, was tweeting, but he said, this is very interesting. He tweeted this 3 hours ago. Texas is a 17-point dog. Do we have it at 17?
We have it at 16.5.
Okay, it's gone up to 17.
Right.
Well, it's all the same.
All right.
Texas is a 17-point dog at USC. I'm reading from Brett McMurphy's Twitter account. Tom Herman was underdog 6 times at Ohio State as offensive coordinator and 5 times as Houston's coach, and Herman's team won all 11 games. Outright.
Yeah.
Outright.
And as a head coach, he's 6-0.
He's 6-0.
In that same position.
Correct.
Feldman tweeted that earlier this week.
He's 6-0 as an underdog. So if you like that trend, there's that. Look, USC's pretty good. They looked great against Stanford last week. After kind of
Yeah.
scuffling in the opener against Western
Yep.
Michigan, Sam Darnold got hot, and they're running the ball well.
Yep.
They're 11th in the nation in yards per carry. Ronald Jones is torching people right
yeah,
now.
he has got speed.
And that's what scares me for
Yep.
Texas, is that this is a legitimate, balanced offense that can throw the ball well and run the ball well, and they lost their opener to more or less a one-dimensional Maryland team. What are they going to do on the road against a good team like this? The one thing that gives me hope for Texas is that this defense for USC can be run on.
Yeah.
Okay, they're 105th in the nation in rushing yards
See
per
more
carry
of that
allowed.
Chris Warren freight train look.
That is Texas's best hope in this one, is that they have got to shorten the game. They've got to keep this game close by running the ball effectively and keep the ball away from this USC offense. That said, I just don't think it's reasonable to expect them to go to the Coliseum and keep this thing close.
We'd love to be surprised.
I'd love
but
to be
it's not
surprised,
reasonable to
but this is a legit top 5 team at home. I'm going to go with USC minus 16.5 in this one. I just think they're the better. I think they're the better team, and I think that it's the kind of thing that it might be like a 10-point game, like in the fourth quarter, and then USC puts on a couple of cosmetic scores and wins by 17 or 24 or something like that. So that's where I'm at. So I'm going to take Arizona minus 23 at UTEP. I'm going to take Louisiana Lafayette plus 24 at Texas A&M. I'm going to take Duke minus 14 at home against Baylor. I'm going to take TCU minus 18 against SMU. I'm going to take North Texas plus 21.5 at Iowa. I'm going to take UTSA at home against Southern Miss. I'm going to take Texas State, believe it or not, plus 23 at home against Appalachian State. I'm going to take Houston minus 22.5 at home against Rice. I'm going to take Texas Tech minus 7.5 at home against Arizona State. And I'm going to take USC minus 16.5 at home against Texas.